Hi and welcome to the next part of the conservatory build. As you can see, the plasterboard has all the jointing tape on now. This is the self-adhesive fiberglass tape. This just holds every joint and stops it cracking when you put the plaster on. So there's loads and loads of screws in here. Plasterboard tape on the joints at the edges so they don't crack. And very shortly we will start plastering this board. Okay, so I've got a little spot board here on the floor to pour the plaster onto, and it saves just keep reaching in the bucket and getting plaster all over your arm hair. So now the basics of plastering once you've mixed it up correctly. You want to take it from the spot board and stick it on the wall, or in this case the plasterboard, and smooth it out nice and evenly. It goes in 3 or 4 30-minute sessions. You basically put it on once and smooth it out a bit, then you wait 30 minutes and you put a second coat on and smooth it out a bit. Then you go back and you smooth out again after 30 minutes, and then you do a finish after the next 30 minutes. As long as you stick to these 30-minute rules, it seems to work out. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes to actually go along a little wall of this size and put the plaster on. So you're looking at leaving it for another about 20 minutes. So once I've finished this off and smoothed it, remember you smooth it out a little bit roughly. You can leave it rough because you want the second coat to stick to it. I'm going to finish this off and then I'm going to move on to a tiny little bit of wall while I give this the 20 minutes it needs just to start setting and grip onto the plasterboard. And the bonus of doing this wall and the tiny wall will leave me 2 more walls that are then touching dried plastered walls when I start them. So you get the general idea. I'll just stick this on fast forward, turn this pink, watch the plasterboard, the screws and the tape disappear. There, don't that look better? If only it would finish this colour, I'd leave it and not paint it. Right, over now to the first wall to give it its second coat. A little bit less plaster goes on this time, and we want to smooth it off just a bit better than the first. I know from the colour of my head it looks like I've been on holiday to Spain, but I can promise you the closest I've been to Spain is popping down Lidl's. I'm going to point out now that the wood at the top of the plasterboard does give me a lovely finished edge to go to with the plaster. It will be the only wooden thing left on show in the conservatory when I'm finished. That's going to get a coat of undercoat, which is tomorrow. Right, so that's the second coat on this wall nearly done. Again, that took about 10 minutes, so it's going to take about another 20 minutes to start going off properly, when you can start going over it with a little bit of water on the trowel. So it's 20 minutes later now. Now it's time to start smoothing this out properly. I bet this looks like an awful lot of work to the Americans that just drywall the joints and over the screw heads. But this is how we do it in Britain. It does give us a uniform finish. You don't get the cracking. You can wallpaper straight onto this. It's easy to strip the wallpaper off years later because you're taking it off the plaster, not off the paper of the plasterboard. And that does make sense, doesn't it? This gives a lovely, shiny, smooth surface finish. So here I am just flicking some water onto the surface using a brush, dipping the brush in water and flicking it. I'll also put water on the trowel. Here you can see me with the paintbrush dip and flick, dip and flick, dip and flick. As I'm lightly pulling the trowel across the wall, it does remove a tiny bit of plaster, so I clean that off every now and again and re-wet the trowel. So there we are, that is that side finished. Nice and uniform, job done. 2 days later, not only is it all plastered, it's all dry as well. Window ledges do have their first coat of primer on them, which starts to bring everything more together. Right, did anyone notice the window at the end is now glazed instead of being polystyrene? That came in on Friday. I picked it up and fitted it. Lovely. £48. That cost half of what all the windows cost me. Incredible. As with the rest of the world, we've had so much rain lately, everything's on the outside is wet. We did dig a sump drain away point here, so the gutter drains down there. Okay, thanks for watching. More next week.